do a little tarot and then one of the fun decks, okay? In case you were curious, today's Farmer's Almanac, it said on this day in 1776, did you know we're celebrating America's 250th birthday? How about that? So, 250 years ago, folks. Believe it or not, the human species has been around longer than that. Okay. On this day in 1776, the Second Continental Congress formally declared independence from, that's right, Great Britain. But it then took 2 more days to approve the official document. Maybe why that, that's when the Declaration of Independence was in its finality completed. You know, I don't know the exact facts on that. Any history teachers out there? 5 of Cups. Crying it was lost. It's like she was at a party but like in a field. And she doesn't look too happy right now. So it's like, did she get there late? You know, I don't know. Maybe, I mean, sometimes those situations bring a friend, right? And you think, okay, cool. And then like the person you like ends up liking your friend and you're like, well, this sucks. Like, no offense, but this sucks for me. You know what I mean? Like, and you know, for some of you collective, that may have not been your intention. Yeah, Page of Cups. I feel like someone's definitely in more of a flirty, youthful energy right now. Not necessarily trying to be like super serious in a relationship, but you know, open to dating, to meeting people, things like this. And this 5 of Cups person over here is just giving yeah, that didn't work out too well. Chariot, Cancer. Okay, it is your season, right? The crab. All right. So you may be, you know, literally going out cruising, okay, during the summer, you know, or if you like go on vacation by the beach, maybe you're going to rent a car or something like that. And I feel like you're not letting, you know what I mean? You're ready to shed this. That's why it's appearing in this, you know, position. And this is more the, you know, but you're like, yeah, but I was ready to go on vacation. Type thing, you know? So I feel like you're letting kind of the universe take care of you and wherever that next opportunity is coming from, right? You might have pets as well. There's literally 2 dogs in the back seat of her roadster here. Very nice paint job, I might add. 2 of Swords. Okay. So you may have felt like you had to make some decision, collective, about this 5 of Cups kind of feeling left out, you know, and it's a 2 of Swords because it was like neither one was an attractive option. Okay, it's like, yeah, what do you do then? Okay, yeah, 3 of Wands. So, yeah, moving on. It's like, yeah, that's part of my lyrics in one of my songs. You know, it talks about, you know, moving from where you're at. Because that's not necessarily doing you any justice, right? And so this could be a vacation for somebody with this 3 of Wands. This could be a more different kind of move. Queen of Swords. Okay. On the bottom, Queen of Cups. Okay, so again, Cancer, Pisces, and Scorpio. But in the outcome here, the Queen of Swords. So being able to move independently, decisively, and, you know, sometimes without announcing it. The Queen of Swords, although ruling communication, is not necessarily going to be perceived as the most talkative one. She might be, you know, a person of few words. Okay. And then the Queen of Cups over here is, you know, kind of that, well, I, I'm settling in, and, you know, maybe I don't have to talk to anybody while I'm doing that either. Underneath is the Queen of Pentacles. Wow. Judgment. So somebody could have misjudged your potential, collective. All right. Especially if you are in the sign of the crab, right? Okay, or have that in your chart. All right. But again, these air signs, Libra, Gemini, Aquarius, this is like how you're moving forward. It's not with your eyes closed. It's with your eyes open and saying, yes, that will be the one. You know what I mean? You're you're doing it that way, I guess. And you're allowing the fun part to come through here with this Page of Cups. Like, this is giving me a very upright, and you could be working on something new. Like, you know, this was like, you know, that, like, hey, you know, it's, you know, like, that was so yesterday type thing. Like, okay, so, bye-bye. Next. You know, it's like, okay, we're not celebrating on the second here, right? They did some of the work on the second, but they still got work to do to get to the fourth before we can celebrate. You understand what I'm saying? Like, there's a little bit of a build-up there. Okay. All right, this is the What's the Vibe deck. Okay, family, blood ties, inner circle. So, collective, this Five of Cups could have even been something that happened with your family. Maybe, you know, you thought you had a good... Stay out of there. Maybe you thought you had a better relationship until you realized, oh, this is not it. Okay. You know, so, but now you're headed into something that's to make you feel happier here. Yeah, waves, emotions, worry, fear. You might be going to the water somewhere and, you know, kind of listening to the waves, or, you know, the sound of the water, and kind of letting those take your emotions into a place where you don't have to worry about it anymore. Okay. Realizing it's just part of life, you know, some of these things. Okay. And the good part being that, you know, you're no longer weighed down by those people's expectations anymore. Like, oh, well. Healing, self-care, introspection, meditation. Okay. So, yeah, that is kind of something that, you know, the sign of the crab likes to do. So, you know, when they're, you know, part of being in that shell, right? Allowing the introspection to take place along with the self-care, you know, wrapping up in the blanket, or, you know, maybe it's a weighted blanket. Maybe you're burning some sage or candles during meditation, or incense for that matter. Just taking the time out to do it at all, right? Being self-care. Okay. So I feel like you're putting things into progress. Hang on a second. Okay, one of my dogs just found something on the floor that they really shouldn't have been chewing on. So, karmics, third parties, haters, lesson learned. Okay. Yeah, so again, trying to make a bad decision. You sometimes it seems like you only have a bad decision to make, but that's what the karmic wants you to believe too, right? So this third party's haters lesson learned. It's like, okay, well, or I can choose not to play that game, right? We're gonna move our feet, right? And play a new game because this one sucks. You know what I mean? It's literally as simple as that. Like, yeah, I am packing up my toys and going home. Like, who cares? You know what I mean? Like, you didn't want to play nice anyway. That's why I was in the Five of Cups to start out with. So, how about them apples? Consequences. Bad choices, games, mixed signals. Okay. And somebody could be like, oh, why aren't you going here with us? And you're like, because when that happens, you guys want me to do these things, and I don't want to. And actions have consequences, right? So, collective, this could be some of what, the lesson learned, okay? And it's like, yeah, you don't actually have to go through it in order to learn it, right? Sometimes when we watch a movie, right? Three of Wands, it transports us to a different space, all right? And then we're able to think about things, okay, from a different perspective, all right? And, what those potential consequences are, bad or maybe good, okay? So, instead of bad choices, what about making good choices? What about not playing games, right? Some people are all about the games, and some people aren't. And it's like, well, maybe the good consequence, from learning that lesson is going towards people that don't do that. you know, because there's plenty of people that do. So let them have each other, right? Let the third parties, Two of Swords themselves out. You know what I mean? Like, and sit there and say, oh, well, I can't do anything about it. It's just going to be a bad decision regardless. Well, that's part of the mindset too, where it's like, it's what you make of it. So, intimacy, mutual respect, unity, and closeness. So, this might be coming with a Queen of Swords, and especially in the way that a Queen of Swords is somebody who, I don't think really wants to be putting on pretenses, you know what I mean, around the people that they're close with. Like, if you think, just in passing, a Queen of Swords is going to be maybe a little bit blunt, you know what I mean, or direct, okay, well, in intimacy, it can be even more so, in the way of sharing vulnerabilities, okay? So that's, say, a byproduct of this healing, right? Being able to be close and intimate with somebody, okay? And on the bottom of the deck, we have envy, resentful, competitive, discontent. So there could be somebody basically not mothering themselves enough here with this envy. Okay, so I would suggest that. And if you feel like you start to get into that position, collective, right, just remind yourself, okay, of the ways that you can, say, make good decisions just for yourself, right? That it doesn't have to be involving another person. Because sometimes that doesn't work out, regardless, right? Because you could choose the right thing and they chose the wrong thing. Well, how does that help you? You know? Where, maybe collective, this who you're attracted to or whatnot, you know what I mean, acts a little nicer, okay? Instead of, some demon, right? Anyway. You're like, I already did this. Now I'm burning my incense and my candles, and my sage to protect against people like that from coming around. Okay, and collective, this is somebody too that could have used your family against you. You know what I mean? When they like get, when they're on a phone call basis with your, you know, with your parent or vice versa, you know, somebody that's supposed to be on your side, and it's like, yeah, well, sometimes they do that for a reason, right? So that they can try and exert control and things of that nature. Okay. Again, you know, you're just trying to enjoy yourself, not be a freaking Debbie Downer every 2 seconds. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, things come up. Well, we're going to have to cross that bridge when we come to it. Okay? So, but now is not necessarily that time. Okay? So, you kind of walking away and doing this healing collective, which you're literally supposed to do because you've helped manifest it, right? It's finally coming into fruition. It's like you finally have the time to do it. And then it's like, but people are like, oh, but I thought you were going to do this or do that. And neither one of those things was an attractive option for you. And then all of a sudden you become the, well, they don't want to help me, or they're, you know what I mean? And it's all like, well, I didn't know I was supposed to engage with you on that. You know what I mean? Because the thing is, if you're allowing somebody else to dominate that time, then what happens? There's consequences. All right, and you're just looking for somebody that allows you to be a little bit more, okay? Collective. And again, this is driving somebody to feel perhaps envious and things of that nature, okay? So, again, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, and then we had the swords, Libra, Gemini, Aquarius. Okay. I think I will go ahead and do the romance angels here. Attraction. You attract romantic love by enjoying this moment fully. Okay. So yeah, even in some of the disappointment, it's kind of like, oh, well, at least the flowers were nice. You know what I mean? Things of that nature. Playfulness. To recapture romance, allow your inner youthful spirit of fun to shine. What was I saying about, yeah, it's just like you just want to have fun. Kind of embrace it. Yes. Now is the time. Religious factors. Your love life is influenced by your religious upbringing and spiritual path. Okay. So this could be part of your healing or somebody else's healing. And they could be not sure if, say, being partnered is the right thing at this time. They might see those things as separate. But, you know, in a sense, it can be, because it's almost like, you know, it's like doing a job. Right? Your partner isn't necessarily going to be there right next to you doing this job. You know what I mean? They could watch you do your job, but they're not actually going to be doing the job. You are. You know what I mean? Hopefully that makes sense. Retreat. It's time to disconnect from the world. Yeah, from the world that wants to feed you. Oh, well, these are your choices. And then get mad at you when it goes wrong, right? And you're like, wait a second. That's not what I signed up for. So you might just be like, you know what, that's somebody else's world. That's somebody else's game. It ain't mine. Okay, so. Very soon, clearly decide what you want so that it comes to you now. Okay. Trust. This situation is calling for you to have faith. Okay, so I think that is part of this building of this intimacy thing here with the Queen of Swords. Okay, on the bottom of the deck it says there's a strong magnetic attraction here. Okay, again, this could be the part that somebody's a little envious of, or they want that and they're being competitive and they're like, well, why is it happening for them and not for me, blah blah, you know, this sort of thing. Okay, so if you're feeling that, collective, and you're happy with it, it's okay to lean into that, because that's part of the energy out there. Okay, and especially if it's something where, you know, you feel like this is the long term thing. This isn't just like, ooh yeah, you know, haha, you know. Okay, right? So it's like, what are you after here? You know? Okay. It's like, you know, it's like you can always watch the movie, right? Oh, surprise, it ends up with such and such happening. Exactly. We've seen that story before, you know, and that's the thing, is these people, they'll show up dressed up, right? Looking like, you know, all sweet and innocent at first, and then slowly by slowly, it's like, oh, it's like, you were okay with me being like this. And you're like, wow, I really fell for that, huh? Whoops. Whoops. You know what I mean? And that could have been somebody that you could have been in a serious relationship with. Okay? When it says family there, I mean, that could have been, you know, legally tied. And this person made you believe it was going to be, you know, all wine and roses and all this stuff. Oh, that's what you want. I want that too. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Right? So, collective, I feel like that's why you get this playfulness here, where it's like it's time for you to actually have fun and relax, because you've been so guarded against people that, you know, want to manipulate your emotions, want to create, you know, fear for you and all of these things, when really, you know, at the end of the day, it's just part of the ebb and flow of life. Okay, it's just part of a wave in your many waves of life. Okay, so you get a wave of having fun as well. So for some of you, you might be on some kind of summer vacation, summer break as well. Okay. This might be a time for some of you that you might be end up, you know, like eloping or something. Okay. So I feel like that's part of this very soon. Clearly decide what you want. Um, you know, like with this Three of Wands here. Anyway, all right. So, yeah, collective, go ahead and settle in, right? It's your season. All systems go, okay? And be safe if you are celebrating the 4th, this holiday weekend, okay? Use a punk, don't be a punk, right? Alrighty. Until next time, please do manifest wisely. Bye bye.